So let's see if this Psijc order.
Tranquil greetings, Caraval. You will forgive me if I seem awkward. We rarely entertain guests here on Arteum. I am Kelleris. Right Master Ichesis told me a great deal about you. I suspect he has plans for you within the Psijc Order. The Right Master holds you in high regard. That is proof enough of your worthiness. The Psijc Order requires practical wisdom, outside perspective. Unless I miss my guess, you can provide both. You would be a worthy addition to our ranks. Eager to begin? Good. Eagerness is just what we need. Your first lesson begins now. The Order has detected a number of irregularities on Tamriel. Small breaches in the fabric of time. I would like you to seal them for me. The first cluster of time breaches appeared on the Isle of Somerset. You should start there. Go speak with my apprentice, Psijc, in the Athenaeum. She will provide the tools you need, a map, Psijc seals, and the Augur of the Obscure. A noble heart and a solemn commitment to the good. Achieving membership in the Psijc Order is a serious and lasting endeavor. You must be prudent, but fearless, withdrawn, but compassionate. It is not something to be taken lightly. Too reclusive, I fear. The truth is that we have grown old, Caraval. A mixed blessing, I suppose. Long years of seclusion have allowed us to study and learn, but always at the cost of our relationship with the outside world. We need youth, vigor. As your knowledge of the old ways grows, so too will the rewards. For instance, we are prepared to teach you new and powerful spells. As in all things, the best teacher is experience. This matter of the time breaches will act as your exam. Only this. Purge yourself of selfish intent. Membership in the Psijc Order will bring you both prestige and power, but such honors often lead to Wegnithir, the bad change. What you do in the Order's name, you do for others. Never yourself. The map will show you the approximate location of each time breach. I apologize. Our visions, while powerful, are not always specific. Make your way to each X on the map, then use the Augur of the Obscure to discover the anomaly's exact location. These time breaches are not visible to mortal eyes. The Augur, however, perceives time and space very differently. Gazing through it will allow you to peer through the veil, to see things both visible and invisible. Things like these breaches. Precisely. Think of them like bandages, I suppose, or tourniquets. The chrononymics they contain will stabilize the rifts and harden the walls of time around them, rendering the breaches harmless. They are quite easy to use, I promise. I serve as the Chief Law Master here on Arteum, a grand title for a modest pursuit, truth be told. I protect and maintain our various libraries and archives, safeguard the details of our Order's history, that sort of thing. 863 at last count, not including the Right Master's personal collection, of course. Don't trouble yourself looking for them. Many of them exist in quasi-planes and hermetic mind spheres. It helps keep things tidy. Comparatively, yes. Many of my peers spend their days examining the nature of reconstituted souls and studying Etara dream residue. Still, I love my work. It also affords me the opportunity to spend time with our initiates. Of sorts. I educate students on the importance of compassion, discipline, objectivity, and the like. Our Order's chief virtues. It can be very rewarding, provided the students take such lessons to heart. I am confident you will be such a student.
Yes, can I help you? Right. You're the Order's new initiate. I didn't expect you so soon. Things here on Artaeum are normally, you know, snailish. I transcribed our seer's visions onto the map there, and collected these Psijc seals. The augur, however... I don't. Please don't tell the Lore Master. It tricked me into dismissing the binding charms that keep it here, in the Athenaeum. Then it popped like a bubble and vanished. It escaped before, but never on my watch. Mercifully, yes. I just scryed its location. It looks like it reappeared somewhere on the shores of Wasting Coraldale. It didn't take long for some sea elves to scoop it up and squirrel it away. You'll have to steal it back. I am sorry, truly. I'm indebted. You'll definitely need the augur on your quest. Without it, you'll never find those time breaches. The Lore Master didn't tell you? All right. How to explain it? The augur is a skull. Sort of. It's really a crystalline entity that resembles a skull. Some think it's from the head of an ancient mage, but I don't believe that for a minute. It's hard to say. Once you have a few conversations with it, you'll see what I mean. Yes, incessantly. I think that's why Lore Master Kelleris made me its caretaker. No one else wants to listen to it. You should know that it lies constantly, unless you ask it a direct question. If you do that, it's compelled to always tell the truth. It will. Stirring up the augur's power will give you a second sight. The skull sees time differently. Well, it sees practically everything differently, but time most of all. I think it's fascinating. I just wish the little bugger wasn't so sneaky. The seals are one of the Order's oldest tools. They act as a sort of anchor, shoring up any wayward spirits or forces in a given place. When Nirn was still young, the veil was much looser, more unpredictable, you know? So the Aldmer made these. None at all. We've been refining them for thousands of years, remember? Just take one in your hand when you reach a tear, and the seal will do the rest. I am. You look surprised. Right, of course. It's not racial bias. The Psijc Order doesn't have any axes to grind. It's just a matter of circumstance. Psijc study is an Aldmeri tradition, for one thing. High Elves also live a long time and have more natural aptitude. It's a long story. I was the heiress to a crown magnifica. Our house was prosperous, well respected. When Kelleris offered to take me to Artaeum, I cast off my duties immediately and left the family's fortunes in the hands of my brother. He drove our family into shame and poverty, pretty much immediately. I try not to think about it. Let's change the subject, all right? You have lots to do and very little time to do it.
Thank you for heeding my call, newcomer. I don't suppose your passage to Somerset brought you past Weston Coraldale? My father, Curteros, runs a boat in an angler fleet. They're long overdue, and while his stride tends to be a leisurely one, I've never seen the whole fleet gone for so long. I'm probably over-concerned. The weather's been fair and the wind's mild. Perhaps their fishing has been so fruitful they dare not waste their good fortune. But I'd feel better if I knew what to make of their delay. The fleet set off west. Weston Coraldale is an island engulfed by coral reefs, but you can reach it safely in that sailboat. I'd go with you, but I'm afraid I don't share my father's comfort with open water. Not especially. I've never been myself, but father's only remarked about the occasional ornery coral crab or hungry salamander. The reefs are the only real hazard, but only to a ship of considerable size and flimsy make. Oh, there's not much to tell. He's plied the sea for its bounty for as long as I can recall, and that's some time, mind you. We eat well, and he makes a fair bit of coin with his best catches, but sometimes I wish he'd keep a bit more lively. Not since I was very young. My father took me fishing once, showed me how to bait a hook, coax a bite, and work the line until the catch tires out. It wasn't meant to be an eventful trip, but it turned out that way. Father dozed off, so I continued to apply what I'd learnt without him. Soon enough, I'd hooked my first catch. Or rather, it hooked me. Yanked me clear off the boat and into the deep. I was too shocked to let go of the rod, nearly drowned. Yes, fished me out of the drink, quite literally. He still calls me his prized catch. It's funnier when you're not coughing up seawater.
Doesn't do it yet, and then these offshoots, I thought there might be.
Who's that? Never seen you before. Guess no one told you that this is my spot. Been my spot nearly a century. And it'll be my spot a century more, God's willing. So don't go getting any ideas. Plenty of space down the coast. So, off with you now. Huh, fancy that. I told Hiranessa for years those sea elves would mount an invasion from Waston Coraldale. Figures they'd launch it while I was having a nap. Well, come along then. Best send them off before they hook all the best catches. Of course. Any Royal Marine of the Queen's Navy worth their salt would. Might have traded my saber for a fishing rod, but I've still got my sea legs, and I'm still as sharp as the day I mustered. The others I sail with are civilians, though. Aye. Even if they caught a glimpse of a sea elf cutter before it reached Waston Coraldale, there's no chance a fishing boat would have outrun it. If anyone from the fleet's still alive out there, it's our duty to help them. Best we split up. Unless my creaking knees give me away, I ought to be able to handle some scouting while you're searching for survivors. We'll rendezvous at the old lover's tree near the reef on the eastern shore. My friends will know the one. Unless I'm caught. Won't be much use to the sea elves as a prisoner, but I'll black an eye or two before I greet my maker. Tell her my children are grown and my wants are few. But I cannot say the same for my friends. I've had a good life. I don't mind trading what's left of it, so others might have the same. Three aside from myself: Indolina, Aldoterel, and Carterel. Not much of a fleet when you compare it to the Royal Armada, but we're the scourge of anything with guilds. Hope you find them safe and sound. Too quiet. If one of them had reached the mainland, the Royal Navy would have sent ships to intercept these sea elves by now. No one knows they're here except us. Enemy movement. Numbers, positions, assess our situation. I hope to have a plan by the time you've finished your search.
Sacred Ascendants, take me home. I thought you were a sea elf. One moment I was just dipping my toes in the shallows having a pleasant day. The next there's a murderous corsair or hungry reef viper around every corner. We're trapped. He's alive. At his age, I'd have thought he'd be the first to fall prey to those sea elves. Should have given the stubborn old salt more credit. I'll make my way to him. Better than waiting to die out here. Thank you.
Stranger, don't anger the salamanders. They're the only thing keeping those sea elves from wandering too close. What are you doing out here? I've never seen you before. You're sure we're talking about the same Kurtaros? The one I know is more likely to be mistaken for dead and sleep right through this whole mess.
All this crouching is damnation on my back. But I've seen everything I need to know what the enemy's up to. How fares the search? Any sign of Carterel? Never do when it comes to these sea elves. They'll rob us of more than a few good souls before all is said and done here. They're digging in, placing ballistae along the shore. When the Royal Navy finally does mount an attack, they'll be taking fire from Maormer on both land and sea. It'll be a bloodbath, unless some misfortune befalls their plans. Catch my drift? I'm not suggesting we repel the whole invasion, but I do know my way around a ballista. If we turn one toward their own ships and cause enough of a stir, we can draw on a friendly patrol and catch the sea elves out of their element. I'll get into position and await your attack. Then we'll give those sea snakes a good spearing while these two make for your vessel. You do have a vessel, don't you? All right. You two go prepare the boat our friend brought. We'll provide a distraction. Trinamac's wrath be with us.
Seals. Fond of winged snakes and soggy chests. Noted. Ah, fleshy, thick-thumbed biped. Hello. You're an elf, right? Or is it a man? I'm sorry. I have some difficulty telling you people apart. You're much less blue than the others. In color, I mean, not disposition. Anyway, what can I do for you? Josiah. Wait, you're talking about that jittery mage I tricked into freeing me, right? Oh, she's a delight. I had hoped for a longer holiday. Can only manage a leap like this once a century, after all. Ah, well. I'm actually quite comfortable here, mate. Cozy accommodations, the transliminal tones of the ocean waves, gangly meat brains to mock. But I guess I should be going. These elves plan to sell me. Can you imagine? I'll help you. On one condition. When we're done sewing up these chronosymphonic when we're done sewing up these time breaches, you'll let me wander the Mundus in peace. No more dim-witted Psijics peppering me with questions. No more dusty shells. We have a deal? Right. So, should we get going, or...? Of course you do. Everyone asks questions, and I have all the answers. Fair warning, be specific. I'm bound to tell the truth, but the truth can be a little... slippery. You know what I mean? I'm a traveler like you. Except, well, nothing like you, to be honest. No offense. I'm what you might call an aspect, eh? Like an idea's shadow. Don't make a face, I'm telling you the truth. Not my fault your language is so crude. I'm not in the skull. I am the skull. At least here on Nern. Over in the adjacent place, I'm shaped like a throat pillow. Imagine that. You look confused. It's just a trick of the light, mate. The skull's what you might call a manifestation. Of me! This is just sad. Try this. Imagine a soul gem. Got it? Now imagine that the soul and the gem is also the gem itself. Weird, right? Ha! Mime and a head explosion. You can't see it because I haven't got any arms, but it's happening. I am one of the unfortunate quirks of the Psijc binding ritual that brought me here. I'm free to lie as much as I like, unless you, or anyone else for that matter, ask me a direct question. Cheap trick if you ask me. They did, a bit. I'm certain I could break out if I really put my mind to it. I don't blame them, honestly. If I was in their position, bobbing along like a little lost acorn in an ocean of knowledge, I'd want to trap me too. I guess, but instantaneous translocation's not like a Sundar scroll. The veil here in Mundus is all thick and sticky, you know? Like I said before, I think I'm grounded for the foreseeable future. Oh well. I am. I had no idea you were so funny. We're gonna have a really good time, you and I. Well, an augur of the obvious wouldn't be very useful, would it? For what it's worth, I lobbied for something way more impressive. The resplendent skull of hexagonal wonders! It was forcefully vetoed. No counting for taste, I guess. Of course I do. Everything has a name. Names give a thing its shape. Birds, snowflakes, tea kettles, you get the idea. I'd tell you mine, but you'd need about 6 more tongues and a pair of symbols to pronounce it correctly, so let's not bother. Fair enough. So, where to? I assume you've got a map or something? So, you know where we're going now, right? Good. You take me to a time breach, and I'll help you spot it. Huh. This bag's a bit snug, eh?
Hold them all while I spear that cutter! Scourge of the sea drakes for nothing! They're scattering like minnows! Keep on the offensive! That'll do. Fall back and get to the boat. Captain coming aboard. Boats prepped and ready.
Father, you had me so worried. What happened? Where's your boat?
None of that now, my nervous cup. I'll tell you all about it. But first, there's one more thing we need to see to. Come, friends. It's time we commit our memories to the drink.
He washes up here after being gone for weeks, his boat nowhere in sight, and he acts like it's just another day on the sea. Was everything all right? Did he cause you any trouble? Oh, Well, he put you up to that, didn't he? Papa always loves to embellish his journeys. Whatever the truth is, I'm just glad you brought him home safe. If all newcomers are so kind, Somerset will be fortunate to have you. He's not fooling me. I can tell something happened. Father's putting on a brave face, like he used to whenever I'd ask him about his younger days. He'd smile and deflect the question, but I could see a sadness in his eyes he couldn't hide. His secret. The fanciful story of meeting my mother, a myth about how the moon and stars winked on the day of my birth, and tall tales about his fishing voyages. Before that, not a word. Not once. I don't think I'll ever get... 70 years isn't enough? I love my father, but all I want is to love him for who he is, not who he shows me. When he was missing, I wasn't just worried I'd lose him. I was worried I'd never get the chance to know him. You didn't come here to listen to a grown woman bawling about her father to a stranger. Forgive me. You did enough bringing him home safe. What comes after is up to me. He and his mates have a tradition of celebrating their safe return. They're partial to a small batch brewer on the south side of Alinor, by the craft masons. They'll probably be there all night. The fanciful story of meeting my mother, a myth about how the moon and stars... 70 years isn't enough? I love my father. You didn't come here to listen to a grown woman... Oh, yes. She and Carterell have been together for years. She used to look after me when I was younger, while Father and the others were off at sea. She's a good friend. I imagine she'll be with Father and the others, waiting to see Carterell when she arrives.
Oh, you're going to love this one. I'm seeing a tiny island surrounded by... It's either water or cats. Difficult to say. Let's hope it's the cats, eh? You know, coral's just weird sack animal bones, right? So this is a bit like a cemetery, I guess. Ugh, you do not want to know what their ghosts look like. Old cheese. I'll leave it at that. Ooh, a spooky cliff-top estate. What a fine place for a breach. All sorts of ghastly things happened here. I can tell you that. I'd shudder if I had shoulders. I'm kidding, of course. Mortal fear is hilarious.
Did you hear that weeping again? Oh, I've had enough of this place.
there's a breach here. City's a bit gaudy, eh? At least by mortal standards. Where I come from, this would be a little more than a preppy. I'm kidding, of course. Ellen Pease where I come from.